NBC and Showtime order a whole mess of comedy pilots. Lisa Kudrow loses one of her shows, and Natasha Leggero gets her own stand-up comedy special. All that and more, only on this C Plus News Time.
It's C Plus News Time with your host, Chad White.
Welcome back to C Plus News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news you didn't know about for the week of August 10th, 2015. There's a lot of stories this week, so let's get down to brass tacks. DC and NBC are teaming up. Yes, DC Comics and NBC, the television channel, are teaming up for a, get this, TV show. But it's a funny TV show. It's a comedy TV show. It's going to be based around the powerless superheroes in the world. And it's also actually going to be kind of Office-like. So the show actually stems from the word powerless. It's called Powerless, and it's created by Ben Queen, the creator of A to Z, that was actually canceled over at NBC due to low ratings. It was a funny show. I liked it enough. The primetime DC Comics universe is expanding to the comedy direction. I mean, it's a funny... DC does have some funny comic book writers and everything. There's some funny characters. The Flash is inherently funny. Nobody is, Deadpool funny, but, they're all very funny. But now they're going to have a half-hour single-camera comedy sitcom over on the big, colorful Peacock. I was going to say the big Peacock, but obviously that wasn't funny enough for me. The project evokes NBC's signature style from The Office, but, with superheroes, and that's really the premise for the show. Based on characters from DC Comics, Powerless is a workplace comedy set at one of the worst insurance companies in America, with the twist being that it also takes place in the universe of DC Comics. Now, don't expect big names like, the Batsmans and the Supersmans or the Flashes or the Wonder Womans or the Martian Manhunters or any of those other big name characters to appear. It'll probably be like a Green Lantern from like All the Way Out and No Man's Land, or I don't know, the Gray Ghost. He's a superhero. That's a really old superhero. I pulled that one straight out of my butt. He's a real superhero though, the Gray Ghost. He's Batman's, I guess, idol? Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yes, don't expect any of the big names to appear. It's just going to be the powerless folks, the guys without powers, running around saving the world, working at the insurance company, doing all that stuff. And that's not the only show that NBC wants a pilot from. Actually, NBC really did lock in deals from Michael Schur and Tina Fey and Robert Carlock due to their success in being very funny comedy people. Now, for Michael Schur, he's actually got an overall deal with Universal TV. He actually got a straight-to-series 13-episode order for his show, tentatively titled called The Good Place. It centers on a woman wrestling with what it means to be good. Mike came in and laid out the whole season, and NBC loved it a lot. So they were like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get the show. It's going to be fantastic. And now the series will be produced by Universal Television, 3 Arts Entertainment, and Fremulon. Schur and David Miner will executive produce. Moving on from that, Tina Fey and Robert Carlock are now going back to NBC. Yeah, it's kind of this weird thing that NBC dropped the ball on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which went to Netflix, which everybody in the world loves. If you hate it, then you're an idiot, because Ellie Kemper is a goddess. But now NBC was like, hey man, we admit our mistake. Faye, Carlock, come back. We'll help you make a show. You got any other ideas? Let's do this. And Faye and Carlock were like, yeah, let's do it. But I'm sure it was more in a business-savvy conversation. The Untitled Faye and Carlock vehicle will be written by a 30 Rock alum, Tracy Wigfield, who was their young protege on this show, but now she's moving on up because she helped Faye do a lot of stuff for 30 Rock. Actually, she helped write the series finale, which she won an Emmy for, which is congrats to her, Tracy. She's great at what she does. The comedy's received a pilot order with the full intention to go to series, which means that the pilot, even though it might be super good or very good, because it's Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, it's just going to go straight to series no matter what happens. That's the intention. That's what they said. That's what I just said. Shut up. Those aren't the only comedy pilots to be commissioned this week. Showtime is getting their foot back into the comedy game after canceling Happy-ish, and they're moving on to a Jim Carrey-produced joint. It's going to be called I'm Dying Up Here. It's going to be written and executive produced by former stand-up comedian turned TV writer Dave Flabbot of Will and Grace fame and actor-comedian Jim Carrey, and it's set against the background of Los Angeles stand-up comedy scene and the scene of the 90s, guys, the scene of the 90s, live in Los Angeles, not Portland. Get it? That was a joke. It wasn't funny. Don't worry about it. It's going to be considered the golden age of comics in LA that launched the careers of a slew of comedian superstars, including Carrey himself. It's actually based on a book by a guy named William Nodesletster. You know what? I messed it up. I'm just going to put his name right under here, right in this area, and it actually takes place at the famous Hollywood comedy clubs of the 1970s and delves into the inspired and damaged psyches that inhabit the complex business of making an audience laugh, because comedy is really a trying thing. As you can see, I'm trying right now, and it's really hard for me. I'm not funny over camera, but in person, I'm hilarious, is what I've been told by my mother. Next up, I've got another Showtime story for you, and this time it's about a cancellation. Lisa Kudrow, known for the comeback on HBO and Friends on the NBCs, is actually not coming back for another season of the Web Therapy. It was a show that was made up of a bunch of web series. Do it again. Just do the entire thing again. Next up, I got another Showtime story for you. This time about a cancellation, another one under their books. It's going to be Lisa Kudrow's show Web Therapy. She's known for Friends, of course, on NBC, and HBO's The Comeback, which actually came back last year. It was really good, too. And now her show Web Therapy is getting canceled. When she was asked about it at the Television Critics Association, there's a press tour this Tuesday, she said, no, that's done. But it was just such in a nonchalant way. She's like, no, that's done. So that show's not coming back. If you didn't watch Web Therapy, it was really, really interesting, really cool, really funny. Sort of like Burning Love, where they picked up a bunch of not random, but it's part of a web series, a bunch of episodes of the web series. They put them all into one 30-minute block, and then they made that the show. And then that was like the show for 4 years. So now that show had a really good run. It's not coming back. It did have a bunch of Friends co-stars on it just appear as guest appearances, like Courtney Cox Arquette. She's still married to that guy. She's not as Courtney Cox. So go check that show out. It's really funny. You got 4 seasons to go through, so that's pretty cool. And if you also want to see more Friends people do Friends things, you got Matt LeBlanc on Showtime doing a show called Episodes. It's really great. Always nominated for an Emmy. It's about him being the guy who played Joey, but he's trying to escape from that and do another sitcom, but the sitcom sucks, and now he has to do the sitcom because the network just spent a whole bunch of money on him. So just go watch it. I'm not really doing it justice. Just go watch it. And finally, Natasha Leggero is appearing in her own stand-up comedy special on Comedy Central, titled Live at Bimbo's. Comedy Central's own Natasha Leggero is going to be talking about everything from Republicans to her very own diamond pussy. That's from Wet Hot. You're welcome, America. And yes, there's a lot of people actually in Natasha Leggero's other Comedy Central thing. She's doing a show called Another Period, which you can check out right now. She's done it with Ricky Lindholm, and there's David Wayne in it, Michael Ian Black, and a whole bunch of other people. Armin Weitzman, there's a whole bunch of other people in there that are great. But we're talking about her comedy special. She's actually, just do the entire thing again. Do the entire thing again. Okay. And finally, Natasha Leggero is going to be starring in her own comedy stand-up special. Not so much starring in it, but she's telling a whole bunch of jokes. It's titled Live at Bimbo's, and it was filmed at the historic Bimbo's 365 Club in San Francisco. I'm sure they call it 365, but I call it 365 because it's longer that way. Leggero's elegantly examines the many reasons why having kids is problematic, the absurdities of Burning Man, Mormons, hipsters, Republicans, and even her own diamond pussy. Now, you can actually see Natasha Leggero on another show called Another Period on Comedy Central with her and Ricky Lindholm, Michael Ian Black, David Wayne, Armin Weitzman, and a whole slew of really, really funny people. But up until the moment that the stand-up special airs, which is August 22nd, Saturday at 11 p.m., you can actually catch Natasha Leggero at other places. She does stand-up all over the town. She's a very funny person, And we love her here, Natasha. And that's all I have for you for C Plus News Time. Why don't you subscribe right here? Just subscribe. Click on my appendix, I assume, or pancreas. I don't know where anything is. And just click on it, subscribe. You get to hear me talk more about my appendix or pancreas, whatever that is. Or you can actually do this. Watch. It's going to be great. Click one of our other videos, and you'll see other things. Doing other things. It's a great video. It's really funny. I think so, at least. That's what I think. Anyway, follow us on Twitter at C Plus Comedy. Follow me on Twitter at Chad Black White. Like us on Facebook. Tumble us on Tumblr. Subscribe. And, do some other stuff. Go to the website, cpluscomedy.com. So, yeah. I love you. Bye.